Oh, wow, we got 3 people waiting.
Yeah, well, one of them is the applicant.
Like that.
On the agenda.
It's it's not nothing.
Okay,
Okay, all right, so motion to open the meeting.
Motion.
Second, vote. Okay, the meeting's open. Okay, so we're going to, did everyone look at the minutes? They look good? Motion to approve the minutes? Okay. Second, vote. Okay, they're all approved. Village board updates. Do we have any village board updates? Mike? No.
the only update is we'll be going over the software tonight later.
Okay, yep. All right, okay. Anything from Tim? Not here, so.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, and anything from the director, that's you, director of planning also?
That's me.
Okay, so nothing else, okay, cool, so I motion to open the public hearing for 147, 140. Second, vote. Aye, okay, come on up. Yeah, you're the only one. Might as well
So I guess clarification first, will you have comments about the project in general, or is this specific to the variance?
This is public comment. We can't ask you for clarifications. You can say whatever you want. You can tell me aliens or.
But also you won't be.
This board is only considering the variance.
Yes.
Okay,
So.
I realized the other one was last week, so maybe
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is more,
That public hearing was held open and it's continued to the next week, till next Tuesday. So
Okay.
you can come with that.
that may be more appropriate place for my, okay, so there you are.
Okay.
Is anyone
Anyone else want to give a comment on this?
Anybody online wish to comment at the public hearing? For 147, 149, 151 North Chestnut?
Wow, that was weird. Okay, I motion to close the public hearing. Motion. Second, vote. Aye, okay. All right, so that's over. At this point, I guess we can have the lawyer come up and go through the 5 factors and move on with our day, right? So,
Remember to print them out so they're in your packet.
oh, awesome, the 5 factors.
Yeah, it says area variance at the top.
Yeah, look at that. I actually have it on my laptop.
Okay.
You did it for me.
Yeah, also.
Where is it? I don't.
Area, you want one?
Should be right underneath your agenda. If not, the packet next to you.
Oh, yeah.
Have an additional.
Yeah, good, okay. So this is the big building, that's on North Chestnut Street. We asked you to do a bunch of things, you did all of them. Did you guys like watch the meeting from last time? Yeah, Robert, did you see the?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so we asked you to do a bunch of things, did them all. You moved the building more to the more south so that we could tell you what's out there. You somehow got the other builder to agree to share a driveway. Congratulations on however you did that. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, that's a pattern.
Yeah, that's a pattern that can take over. I don't enjoy looking at driveways, so. But they get access there, so that made sense. I think we asked you to get a bridge over to the wall, to the rail trail, you did that. Even though that had nothing to do with the project at all. We did talk to you last time about the permeable pavement. Did you get it? You know, it's obviously not a requirement for anything that we're talking about here. I'm just curious about what your feelings were when we brought that back to the builders.
So we did take a look, there was some concerns about the infiltration rates on the site and also the fact that typically you have pervious pavers when you don't have a lot of traffic and those spaces would be used for parking regularly.
Okay.
But we did make sure that our stormwater runoff analysis integrated so many different types of facilities like the rain garden and other types of infrastructure that not only are we doing a net, not just a net zero of runoff, but we're actually decreasing runoff from current conditions, even though we are developing this, and part of that is because of our 38% open space. And so that was all incorporated into the negative declaration adopted by the planning board, because at the end of the day, pervious paper, or not pervious paper, we wanna make sure runoff is reduced, and so we designed it so it would reduce runoff.
Alright, I was just curious, okay. Are we ready to go through the five? Yeah, okay, anyone else have anything to add? No, everyone's good, okay, will the area variance change neighborhood character?
Now positively.
What? Yeah, it's gonna be better,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
With the alteration of shifting it for the not double driveway. Makes it,
Yeah.
aesthetically and. The usability,
Yeah.
smoother.
I think,
I think it's the character as it stands existing, though, not what was originally proposed, correct? David?
Well, it's not as it was originally proposed, I think the better question, it could be as it's existing. Or just thinking out loud, it could be alternatively, as it should be if the variance weren't granted, in other words, if they have to comply with the existing zoning rule. It would be a substantially smaller setback from either side.
yeah,
Right. And I believe this is positive compared to that.
yeah, I think our variance is better than what's planned, was originally planned. Yeah, I see. More neighborhood effect, okay. Are there alternatives that do not require variance? No. No,
It's because the
code is contradicts the itself, code, code contradicts code, so unless you had access to the back.
yeah,
You couldn't do it, and they don't have access to that because there's a river there. Okay,
in the road.
got a rail trail and, and houses, any other comments on that? That's it, no, okay. Is the area variance requested substantial?
Mathematically, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's big variance. But there's reasons for it.
Yeah, and it's like 16 feet. Seems substantial.
What was the?
It's 21 feet is the variance that's asked for to the south, and 55 feet is the variance to the north.
And the north variance has a lot to do with like. The
Wetlands.
Yeah, the wetlands and that kind of thing, so. I mean, that's a substantial amount of the property, but. I don't think that it's.
Yeah, distance and all other factors, it's also too, like, 55 feet on an old property would be huge,
You're
but
right.
on this property is not. Like, in terms of percentage of the property is not, it's crazy, yeah.
That's why it's one of my least favorite questions.
Yes. No, this is your least favorite one, come on.
Yeah, I didn't wanna.
This is, okay,
Oh,
no, for your life, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Anyone else want to comment on that? Right? No? Okay. Will there be an effect on the physical, environmental condition in the neighborhood or district?
I mean, with the existence of the building, of course, there'll be an effect versus there not being one, but with the. As in to speak of the variance, it will be a positive compared to what it would be without the variance.
Yeah, so it's positive. Yeah, Robert.
I agree, I mean, there is a fact, but, that word is,
Yeah. Is the situation self-created?
This is one of those rare ones where I wanna say no.
It's created.
It's all contradicting itself was, that's nature,
yeah.
and wetlands.
Wow,
This seems completely justifiable.
this one's, yeah, it's sort of not. Wow, you must be thrilled.
Having a great time.
Are you okay with this? Yeah, you have anything, that's certainly a weird one.
I agree.
We haven't had one of these yet.
That's usually my least favorite question too.
Yeah.
Well, it's.
I like to be that guy that's like, you wouldn't have to build a building.
Yeah,
Right?
but I mean, in terms of like, no, this is definitely one where the code.
Forced you to need this variance,
Yeah.
and wetlands are more important than.
Yeah, and also going, we know that north of them is is BOCES and that's not going anywhere.
Right.
So So
continuing the flow.
continuing the flow of walking to a BOCES building that has features that are coming from miles away to limit things, it doesn't come back too much, yeah. I mean, that's just how that BOCES is, unless that BOCES was to radically change, it's something about it. All right. Okay, this is one that I think we all feel pretty good about. Yeah, okay. All right, Dave, can you write this up for us?
You
Okay.
got the other question about the minimum variance necessary.
This is,
It's the last paragraph all the way at the bottom. It's not one of the 5 factors, but it's factor number 6.
It's an extra comment.
okay, all right,
You have to.
so the minimum variance, is this minimum variance deemed necessary? I would say yes. I mean, we were willing to give them more and then they got the parking lot.
Yeah, the fact,
The fact that they got that parking lane moved over, they went up over where
the
the
code, yeah, the code would force them into a situation where they needed a bigger variance and they went out of their way to make it look better and function better with a lesser variance.
Yes, I'd say we've been there.
Yeah, they put the maximum amount of work they can into reducing what they need to ask, but.
Okay, cool, all right, thank you.
You need to do a motion to authorize David to.
Okay, yeah. I'd like a motion to get David to write this up so we can vote on it the next meeting.
When would the next meeting be? Do we want
April 8th.
April Dave, okay, so April Dave. Second, okay.
motion?
Second, vote. Okay, good, passes unanimously. All right, thank you, sir, good, very well done.
And also,
Thank you.
also in your packet, it got a negative, I mean, a no county impact. for the
Yeah.
county negative, that's in your packet.
Yeah, you sent that to us, yeah.
All right, we're good, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't know, he gets paid by the hour, he might as well go at the end.
I have a meeting every night this week, so I do appreciate it.
Oh, you do appreciate it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
This is my favorite one though.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
You don't usually get told you did everything for everyone?
Yeah.
So the next one on the agenda is. It's making decisions now. So this is for a motion to make a decision on 32 Cooper Street.
I wanna.
You want, no, okay, yeah, we have to motion to
Okay,
talk about it.
alright, motion.
Second, okay, cool. All right, let's talk about it, 'cause
I kind of, I went into you guys saw me going into a rabbit hole here for a minute. Are we able to, where do we fall on being able to discuss with the architect?
Well. You're in the stage now, we're discussing the language of the draft. If you choose, in the public hearings closed, if you choose to engage with the applicant, you can certainly do that.
Okay.
I mean,
I have a couple of questions I want to ask. if you- So. My what? Reflects. And I'm gonna come to you if you don't mind, since I was kind of had enough time sorting out. So we have solar panels on the south and west. Right? Yeah. I was trying to discern what the width of that peak was, and I believe I came up with 31 foot. Well, so it wouldn't be, it'd be a different elevation, right, because it'd be this, correct? And those dimensions are on this grant.
Right. You don't typically give dimensions for the thing to say, you know, like builders don't typically get those either.
Right,
But
I know, but for me to make my decision, I should.
Sure, I'm not trying to be forward.
So, yeah, so 36 foot is the width of that. 36 foot 6.5 inch, correct? I'm just trying to get that
I mean,
information.
here to here,
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
because the peaks are on, the solar panels are on
Right,
this,
and
this.
so that would be,
Yes.
that would be that. That would be the 36.
Okay, so then
Here to here.
the peak that the solar panels on would be this.
That's this peak, that's right, they're not indicated right there,
Okay,
but that's that west facing. With it being,
that's this.
That's that, you're right.
So that's 21 foot, okay. And what would the same thing,
Yes.
the roof up here? So that's the. Well, 31 and then 6'9", so. To the peak would be. The 36, 37. Right, oh yeah, there, 38, so, okay,
right, so you want that length there?
well. No, I want this length so that I can figure out the, sorry, yeah. No, I understand. All the time, I just want-
Yes, right, that's the pitch of all of the
Okay.
there.
And then I had one more question, when. You had shown us a picture of the roof flattened out. Do you recall, was that 412?
I think they're folded in some other. Yeah. they'll be-
Probably in the folder that you have.
Oh,
Well, no, he sent them electronically, I don't know if we ever got a paper copy.
Right, because they're on.
I believe,
by letter.
I'm pretty certain they were,
Letter signed.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they were 412. It's kind of irrelevant. Thank you. That was the information I needed from you guys, and now I can discuss with you guys what I was trying to sort out.
Okay, Robert, do you have any questions you want to ask the architect or the home?
Can I talk about the solar for a second?
Up to you guys.
To you, this is your discussion of the document.
I'll leave that to the chair.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I know we closed black and I'm commenting that the house was designed for solar. And we designed it for a lot of things, and one of the things that we were focusing on is making sure our neighbors were happy. That was the first goal. Second goal, also wanting to have a house in more space for our needs. So one of those factors is we push the house further back, so it's closer to the trees. And our neighbors are really happy about that, but it does create an issue for us to keep shade in the winter. And so, yes, like if you were just optimizing for solar, we would have done, if that was the only factor, designing the house, there would have been some different places, but it's a lot of factors, and we tried to optimize for a lot of things. And everyone does.
Yeah, but you're looking
Can't
can't
see
see
that,
that.
a majority of that tree line is below 40 foot, it's mostly eastern, it's.
My house in 28 had a winter shade this winter and shut down our tenant production, because the sun's so low in the winter. But it actually showed how.
But this house sits higher on the hill. compared to
It
the
won't,
trees.
but so the trees are also on slow.
So far as I was able to see when I drove by, I mean, you would know more about trees, but I couldn't see anything that could have reached more than 30 feet.
Yeah, that's.
It's just the winter shade that it's.
It's a winter shade.
Yeah, it's just winter, it's not.
Yeah, but your neighbors can't see this part of the house, correct? Okay, so then
The south part of them.
the neighbors can see the south part of the
No, I
house?
mean, the west, sorry, so they can see the.
Yeah, so the part that you're designing for to hold the solar panels.
Okay,
It's away-
well, yeah, that's, I wanted to discuss with you guys.
Yeah, it's away from the street. Which is also, there's a gable roof, which you pointed out, and then there's solar, but that's probably the height, large value of the house. The back, away from the neighbors.
So you can't see it, but
That's the point.
no, I know, but the people have been making it so we can't see it, like, it's. You have to walk up to mobile property scale,
Alright,
That's the point.
so all said, does anyone have any more questions for them? Everything I wanna discuss with you guys.
Unclear. Thank you, good. Yeah. Okay, you guys can see. Okay,
Alright, okay. So I had a bit of a realization that we went to the two extremes when we were going, because we all looked at that picture of the 412 and yeah, that's hideous, that looks awful. But there's a lot of room between 412 and 812. I reached out to a solar designer And in this region, 25 degrees is optimal, which is actually right between 512 and 612. If that heat was changed from 812 to 612, it wouldn't need a variance.
It doesn't, the snow doesn't slide until you hit 8. We have 612.
You have sections of this roof that are off the panels, you're saying?
Yeah.
It's a
When panels are, see, I'm getting into contrast. When panels are designed for freestanding in a field that they can be literally any angle they want them to, they put them at 25 degrees, which is less than a 612. 612 is 20. 612 is 26.57.
Yeah, that roof's not optimized for solar.
And I understand that there's other factors that go into it, but the difference between 612 and 812 not gonna make your neighbor.
And I also have solar panels. And they're all treated, the snow slides very often, but it's wow. It's not. I don't know if it's on them, but it could.
I basically just wanted to share that with you guys, because I was pretty firm in him writing that out, and then I kind of did a little more research and realized that my thinking was wrong.
Anything ever?
no.
No.
I agree, I mean, my own research shows, well, pitch of the roof is not ideal for solar, nor is the roof designed optimally for snow shed. And in the express opinion of the building owner, it's solar isn't there, it's not solar optimized, it's their first devotion. Yeah, I agree.
So if you, it would lower that 3 foot 4 inches.
Okay,
To change the pitch to the 612.
and then it would be under.
It's 4 to 5.
We're not, we're talking amongst ourselves.
Sean, if it's 3'4", it would still need a small
It
variance.
would still need a variance, but that's a variance.
So how, yeah.
Given the reasons that we're talking about this. The 412 would get it without a variance. But would be not as efficient for the solar panels, would make it look sillier for the neighbors, all of those reasons, I think all of that's taken away. With the 612, and I would give that variance.
But we're talking about 5 feet here, right?
Well,
The current ask for 5 is for 5 feet, and I think we said it was actually 4 feet 11 or something, or 4 feet 10. So if you were, what you're proposing is lowering it 3 feet 4, what I would suggest is you set it at a 3 foot variance to give that little bit of space of the couple inches. You know, my recommendation would be you keep the variance in feet, and that would allow them that
Well,
little
but
bit
a
of.
2 foot variance would still give
Yeah,
almost, 8 inches.
right.
The building in compliance would be closer to optimal solar angle than it is now.
But then the argument of being slightly under, because like, yeah, to compliance, if you take it to 512. Would get it. 310.
On the
Yeah,
plans
so-
they gave us.
So
as an
5
alternative elevation, no variance, the roof there, it's a 412, and in certain sections, it's
Right.
512, but on the top roof, it's 412.
Yeah, so if to speak to Ian, to give you that information.
On the west, on the north, it's slightly different.
So it would be 4 foot 8 inches lower than the 812 to take it to a 512, which would still be to speak to your point, would still be closer to ideal, but under which you could take sliding snow into consideration. Because 512 is a 22.62 degrees. So I'm personally just throwing out that where my mind is at is that, and with this information, an 812 is excessive and not something that I'm thinking I'm willing to grant. But a 612 gives those same with a smaller variation. When we come to answer these questions, I'm not gonna be able to answer them the way they want them.
I want to be clear about the question, the one point I want to raise, and that is that the 5 factors, we can answer them the way we want, but they're all sort of advisory.
Of course.
There is one rule of law, though, that is after one that we talked about, that's not advisory, and I just want to make sure we're aware of this, and to read it to you, this is what you have to do. And this is again separate from the 5 factors and afterwards. The Board of Appeals in the granting of area variances shall grant the minimum variance that it shall be necessary and adequate, and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. So that's your responsibility. Is to
And
grant the mayor-
I believe that's what I'm discussing right now.
That's what I'm.
Is that no variance, I think that there is room for a variance here. I think a variance that gives the room for an 812 with all of the reasons we discussed is excessive, and everything is reached by a 2-foot variance.
Is your reason for denying the 812 because of the solar panels, or is it?
Well, so it's a combination of things, so. The reasons that were given were solar panels, neighborhood aesthetic. And both of the solar panels would be better efficiency at what I'm suggesting. And I don't think that the difference between a 612 and an 812 would have any change on the aesthetic of the neighborhood. So I think that when like David's saying, the minimum and maximum amount, like 612 is obviously a lesser variance. I should stop using, because these are my suggestions, that the architect could do whatever he wants with the 2-foot, but a 2-foot variance will get the same results that a 5-foot variance would, and technically would be better, because it would be more efficient for the solar panels.
I want to make one other point for the board, and that is that you, under the statutes, you have the authority to impose whatever conditions you want on this in order to make the variance work for the applicant and for the community. So although you kind of restrain yourself to 2 foot or whatever, you can, in your conditions, you can create the conditions that you think are necessary and appropriate. Although at that point, if you couldn't create any new conditions, you may want to discuss with the applicant.
Yeah, if they're
right.
Well, they might not even be interested in this. I was trying to share with you guys because we asked you to write this up. And now, if we put that out here, I'm gonna vote against it, and I'm the one who was pushing for you to write.
Setting everything out on the table, giving you the flexibility to, you do have that authority to create conditions.
I mean, I was here for the 2 meetings ago. I watched the last meeting. I'm okay with presenting. I'm okay with the 5-foot variance. I made a couple different trips up to that neighborhood. I think we're set back. I don't think, 3 feet versus 5 feet, or 2 feet versus 5 feet is going to be a significant difference. And I think it's just from what I see here on the elevations, I think I think aesthetically it's a lot better looking and more, what you're trying to do versus the flat over. That was just my thought. Yeah. I'm fine with the variance here.
Yeah.
No, there's it.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards this camp. Cause this is a neighborhood that was specifically designed to do a certain thing. They were given many exceptions to the rule. They got a higher density, they got a higher height, they got all these exceptions. And this house is not optimized for that. And so if we're gonna give an exception, I want it to be the highest performance of solar. And that would mean we should say that the roof should be at a certain angle, and that would lead to the house looking a certain way. So I would be more comfortable with 2 feet, I'm not comfortable with 5.
I agree, the main factor should be staying in front of our reasoning, it should be solar angle, so moving the downward angle will improve solar optimization, that is better for our objectives.
So,
I mean, even, like, I've been on countless roofs. A normal person can't tell the difference between a 7/12 and an 8/12. Like, and even
I don't
that,
even think
even that is.
I've been on a lot of roofs too.
Even that is going to draw you down.
Yeah.
It would be a foot 8 inches, I think,
It certainly is not the minimum variance.
and I guarantee you that if that was a foot 8. Lower, you're getting closer to the, I don't know what the angle is as far as solar panels go,
Closer.
but I will, it's 30.26. And that definitely would not change. Anything to do with the tree line and the shade, because. That would be at the bottom of the panels anyway with the roof line.
Yeah, the tallest tree wouldn't even reach that high.
Yeah, so I don't know, you guys take all that.
Okay,
Do it.
so, alright, so I have a lawyer question. It does not feel like we have. Like we have a decision that's going to go either way. So you wrote with a 5-foot thing, and we bring that down to 2 feet
Let me,
on the spot, and
yes.
then vote on the.
This draft can be modified, it's just a draft, that's really doing the drafts in front of you to be worked on. It can be modified for, you know, what I'll call procedural things or boilerplate, but it can be modified for the real stuff too. And let me also make a suggestion which may or may not make any difference. You're looking at essentially a 2-2 vote on this draft.
Yes,
In parliamentary procedure, the way this works, like in, you know, a higher level parliament, and by the way, I love it if you guys can solve problems without going into the, you know, Robert's Rules of Order, but Robert's Rules of Order does exist to work through some of these issues, and what could happen is any one of you during the discussion, when you just, because this is really a motion, you've made a motion to adopt this particular draft. So whenever there's a motion on the table, any person involved in the discussion on the board can make a motion to amend the existing motion, basically scratch out whatever words you want and amend it to something else. Then what you do is, the first thing you do is you vote on the amendment to see if people are interested in discussing the new configuration. And if that passes, then you've got a functionally new motion on the table, and then you can vote on the new motion. So if you think, let's say, one of the 2 people that's willing to vote for this will also be willing to vote for something else, an amended motion might cost 3-1, possibly. I don't know how whether people are, but I just want to throw that on the table so you guys.
I saw a point in the sense like the application highlight, you know, the application states the variances for solar panels, so I see what you're saying, I mean, that is the primary, objective. You know, my only concern is, you know, are we sure that 2 feet is what is necessary, or do we need, you know, like?
Well, before making a motion to amend, I would probably try to make the step to ask if that's something they're even interested in.
Well, there's a second thing you can do, which is to table the motion, and then you may want to do something like either reopen the public hearing or just get to a different phase of this and invite the applicant back up and engage the discussion again. So you do have the right to run your meeting how you want. It's a little bit out of the ordinary, but if this is causing a problem and you want to reopen it, table the motion and have a conversation either with the public or the applicant or both.
I have some geometrical information I feel is relevant.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah, I'm just concerned, like, I hear what you're saying, I'm trying to thread the needle, I just don't, like, we're saying 2 is based on what your calculation, I mean, I'm not a subject matter expert on any of this, and that's where I'm like,
right.
now all of a sudden,
And that's why
need 3, you know, like, that's what I'm trying, you know.
but this is another thing to remember, if the #1 priority of this house was solar gain. Fuck that,
It wouldn't.
that wouldn't have that piece to it, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. Because then I would be like, wow, you maximized your solar, you are trying to save the environment, you're making a house that's gonna be amazing and it's efficient, and I would be like, I would be champion. Okay, it's not, you don't put an umbrella in front of your solar panel, like. and
There's a gable end.
Yeah, you don't do that. You look at, if you walk through every one of those houses in that neighborhood, they all have one flat roof pointing at the sun with nothing on it. That's how they look. You guys have walked in
But
there.
this is also a double lot, so it's a larger house, it needs more
Yeah.
dimension, so it doesn't look like a big bulbous square.
But-
But that's also part of what's tying into this.
But the other
That's not
thing
the
is,
neighborhood
this is the
design.
backyard, this is facing
Right.
this, so we're looking at something that aesthetically to. The people, it's not gonna matter to the neighborhood,
Yeah.
because it is pointing towards a park. So
You
you're
already stated they have no, so
yes, so I'm sure the squirrels would be rather concerned about gables. But that's the only people that are gonna be looking at that. So if you're gonna ask for a variance for solar, your house should.
Rob, do you think the 2 to 5? What holds you up the most is aesthetics?
I-
Or just,
I think aesthetics for me is part of it, I appreciate the design, I mean, the flat design on the, no variances.
yeah, which is why,
Yeah, so I mean, there's something that we can thread the middle that still gets the job done and it still, addresses the primary reason for the variance, which is solar, I'm open to discussing, that's all.
cause when we saw that, our natural instinct was to go, wow, that was terrible, cause it does. But that is the extreme, when we're being asked what the minimum solution to this is, it's actually closer to an angle that's better for the solar systems.
And the applicant does have further alternatives, was to improve the aesthetic of the house. While building a ditch ones, reducing the potential roof is the only
Right, yes.
solution, the building could also be.
So
This is the front of that.
Yeah.
Some facing.
Yeah, and then that'll be around.
Yeah,
So in the front of the house, it's.
yes, there's obviously
Yeah,
other
there's
things.
some
But the question to the point that there are other alternatives to reduce the height of the building than the roof pitch.
Yeah. The roof pitch just seemed like an easy target because it also increases the efficiency of the panel. Which is what they're saying is.
Yeah, and about the.
Yeah.
Well, you should either table or rescind the motion.
No, they don't, it's up to them how to handle
Okay,
the
yeah.
conversation.
Will we
Yeah,
make any decisions?
But this is,
You're still in discussion on the motion, you can, if you wanna hear from other folks, you can ask questions. There's no rule against it.
Alright, so is everyone, we're good talking about it amongst ourselves, is this all information?
Okay.
Okay, come on down, let's talk.
So one of the benefits of the steeper roof line is that it makes for that angled roof, it makes it longer, which gives you more square footage, foot panels. So that's a relevance to the roof pitch. It seems like one of you're supposed to guard the neighborhood from disturbances. The neighbors weighed in and said, we like the aesthetics of the front. I know we're talking about the back, but in front, it won't look like it's above the 30-foot height line. And meaning with the 5-foot variance. From the front, what you're most concerned with, I guess, is what everyone will see. That's not gonna look like it exceeds it based on the geometry of the lot. And that's what they were weighing in. So there are a number of reasons why the pitch should be, the 5-foot should be granted. The other thing about the higher that the roof is, that's where all the panels are. Panels are all shifted up to wherever that peak is. So some of that roof is below the height of the trees. And so it's the lower part of the panels that are affected, so when we raise the whole roof. With the full 5 feet, that means more of the panels are less affected, so some of them are gonna be affected. And more of them are affected in the winter, because so much of the day, the sun is low, so it does cut out a lot. The builder anecdotally. A couple of the first houses built at a 612 pitch. The snow didn't slide, maybe it didn't have the super slick stuff, I don't know about that. He found 812. The snow slid within a day or two just from sun heat and whatever, as soon as some sun broke it. So, the builder certainly strongly prefers it, he has a lot of experience in this area. I don't know the 25%, that's not what I learned in school. I learned with 44 degrees, with 44 is, somewhere around where we're at, or it was somewhere around there. I think that's right, anyway, so there are some geometric and aesthetic reasons to consider the higher variance. And the other thing is similar to what Mike had said, which is ideally you give a little leeway, like if you were aiming for the 612, the 3-foot variance would give like enough, you could actually get the 6. Though that won't have the same aesthetic look, it'll be somewhere in between. So if the 812, front elevation from the street looks nice, and the 412 looks a little dog, well, 612 will be somewhere in the middle. It won't be quite as, but it won't be as bad as. So some of that's. It seems to me like the 5-foot is it's significant to the project, but it's insignificant to the neighborhood. It's a small significance to the neighborhood. The impact, the negative is you're guarding against. I don't think the 5-foot variance for the comparison between the 2-foot and the 5. That just doesn't seem like the protection you necessarily need to grant the city.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
If it were clear that I wasn't going to grant 5, would you want a 2?
Yes, we would like as much variance as you will give us, absolutely. We're not gonna say, baby out with the bathwater, we want 0 instead of 5. We're not gonna do that, that's a reason. You have the power to do as much of the variance as you deem appropriate.
And we have, when it was to improve solar and insulation. But for aesthetics, we usually say no. I'm trying to think of a time we did it for just pure. And it was basically like. The parapet, and that's the only exception, and what that ended up doing is that does get all of the heat pumps off the ground out of there, so it would really make a huge difference in the neighborhood, as opposed to this, where it's not really. Like, we don't typically, I'm like trying to think of a time we granted something just for purely aesthetic reasons.
If we were to go, so a 612, what kind of variance would that be? Two and
2, and honestly, like. To what Mike was saying, like, I would even be okay to say 3, because a builder's not gonna build a 6.5 12 pitch roof, that's just ridiculous. So, if they figured out a way to lower something else and get a 712, if that's important, which is still not conventional, but it's been done, then like that. My whole thing is that if we're talking about this, even is it the minimum variance? Obviously not. But when a lesser variance has positivities in my mind, it's hard for me to not say what, like, if there wasn't the positivity of the angle that's most efficient for the panels, then I would be like, oh, the difference between this and that, but there's actually a reason to make it.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, Cody, you think that the 6 and 12 is the ideal for the paths?
Well, mathematically slightly less, but they don't break what degrees.
Roughly around that, so then that comes out to, like you say, 2 feet if necessary, 2 feet is what that comes out to a variance, so that'd be the minimum to get the job done.
Yeah, to bring the angles, and like I said, I would even do 3. To allow for the flexibility of the panels and being up to the top and everything, but.
Can I ask you a question? How far off is the 7 foot, just mathematically? So if you said 25% is.
So what did I lowered, let me,
I don't mean by the height of the building, but I just mean how far off of the perfect angle for insulation?
oh,
Insulation has nothing to do with the top.
yeah, no, I know what you mean, yeah, the solar panels, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's 30.26.
Okay, so that's 30 and the other one's 22.
512 is 22.62.
Oh, 512.
612 is 26.57.
So
And so that's, yeah, so that's actually saying that it's slightly over, which helps the snow slide, and closer to the most efficient.
Yeah. I think a number of the houses were built at 612, as you pointed out, so maybe the insulation factor is what he was aiming for, so clearance.
Yeah. And I also, I mean, I could be wrong, and I'd be happy to look into it farther on site, but I cannot see how that tree line, it, in that corner, it all turns to eastern red cedars,
Yeah, it's all short.
and it's all coniferous.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not right.
Like behind to the sides where your current house is, it gets a little more deciduous, but in that corner, it's like the trees right in the middle are eastern red cedars, and the ones along the back are eastern red cedars, and they're spindly.
So do you want to amend this to go to read as a requested area variance from 30 to 33 feet for the height?
Yeah, and also specifying the tells of the angle.
Cause it was 30 to 35.
It was 30, 35?
Yeah,
And what's that angle that you came up with? That
Well-
was slightly better than. That was slightly better than 2 feet, we said.
You're not gonna specify as aesthetic, are you? That's not like.
no,
Specify.
Again, for the variance, you probably wanna just do the amount of the variance, but if it was important to the board, you could put in conditions that you think that you deem appropriate. You may wanna discuss them with the applicant, but you do have the right to put in whatever extra things you think are.
the reason I would wanna put something about the angle in it, because I think there are other places that you can save height on this house. And if I say it just needs to be 33 foot.
You care more about angle.
Well, if that's the reason that I'm telling you that, like, if I don't care personally.
I know.
So you're telling me. that
You're wrong.
Right,
If you said to us, we wanna do this for aesthetic purposes, we would have said no to you the first day. We would have said absolutely not under any circumstances. We do not typically, I've been doing this for 10 years. No one's come up to me and said, the only reason we're doing this is for aesthetics. Never, not
Maybe
once.
we didn't do it, so.
Yes, and you didn't do that. You said you're doing this for solar. So we're gonna link this variance to the optimized solar thing. So we're gonna tell you the angle of the roof and we're gonna tell you how high it is.
and we're still discussing about giving you variance.
We haven't even done that. That's the minimum of what you're gonna get. Like, we're not gonna be like, we're not gonna give you a height variance and then you decide to build a square surface and go 35 feet and make another structure. Because the variance goes with the land. So the variance needs to be very specific and tailored. You're asking us for a variance because of solar. Okay, that's been in every single,
Other factors.
and other factors.
Can I ask for clarification? So you're dictating the angle, the slope on the main roof line with all those panels. That's
Just the one with the power, just the one side. And the other one's been.
Just wanted to clarify.
But
Cody, I thought you were saying earlier that you favored the 3-foot variance, because then if we wanted to adjust the angle, that's okay with you, but. I mean.
no, if you wanted to do it, that if you wanted to adjust something else in the build, I didn't wanna, cause this is relatively quick math. But if we tied it to a sub 31 degree, that would allow you, if you figure out a way to do it where it's within 5 or 6 degrees instead of 10 of optimal. To me, that, like, I don't know why we wouldn't do that. I'm kind of confused why.
You could set a condition of a degree plus or minus a certain number, so say you think it's 25, you could, and this is just an example, you could say 25 degrees plus or minus 3 degrees or whatever you choose to
Right.
do, and that gives them a little flexibility. It's just a suggestion. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
I
it's
guess
the way to
my,
go.
so
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
it's just that we,
And I don't know you know the math better than I do,
it's
so
just
whatever you
that
think
we
the percentage
aren't
should be.
giving the minimal for the effect that's being asked for. That's all, that's the baseline of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand.
It is that I don't think that there's probably anyone in your neighborhood that can point to the 612 and an 812 and tell me which one's which. Like that's not something people,
Aesthetically.
yeah, aesthetic,
Yeah,
they might say, oh, that looks nice. But like. At the end of the day, a lot of that can come to other designs of the house, like, you know. Overhang can be a factor to make a roof line look longer, things of that nature, that's not my business. I don't know, that I feel like I've been super-
I think you did a great job there. I think, all right.
What is the angle on a 612?
26.57.
Does it make any sense to say something more like a 612 pitch or, you know, between a 512 and a 712? Is that the kind of range that you're comfortable?
Well, so the thing, well, so that's the thing, like-
Can you do a 6.5?
Yes, it is possible. to
it is,
do
it'd be
45.
very,
What I'm trying to get, if you'll
Okay.
allow me
Yeah,
to
sure.
open up here, is as much aesthetic freedom as I can have, because I have to make it look good. So
Right.
I understand your goal, and so I'm now trying to bargain for as wide aesthetic range as I can get, which is something like between, you're saying 612 is what you think is best. So then how about a 112 variance within that claimed optimal?
so to be clear, what I actually think is best would be a 5.65, which is 25 degrees. 12, but I'm not trying to be ridiculous here, because you're not gonna, you know, come up with like a magic speed square that's got 6 point, you know, like
Right.
fracture,
That's right,
yeah.
it could be done over.
It could be done, but what's the point? But we're talking about the height of the roof, we're changing like maybe 5 inches, like that's not changing anything.
Mhm.
But still keeping, no matter what but that would give the range, but with variances though, is 3 feet. Well,
With 3
And
feet.
and 3 feet gives you
right,
room to aesthetically adjust.
I feel comfortable with,
If you say not to exceed, total height not to exceed 33 feet, and if it's a little less, they're fine.
Right, and that's how
Just
I
can't
think it works,
exceed.
because I personally think that the way that the math would work out, that it would actually be closer to 32 feet, slightly under. But if you do wanna go to the trouble of building this roof at 6.75, 12. Let me look at it when it's done, because I've never seen one.
There's probably one that didn't involve a seed square that was built that way.
I
Still
mean,
lined it up.
I built a chainsaw carpentry and I still don't think I've ever, stumbled on that.
Bit that on you. Okay, so, all right, so we're looking at a 3-foot variance. And a 20, so. So a 20-degree, you have the chart there?
Yeah, so would you,
so
would you guys be comfortable with saying that the roof? A 3-foot variance, which gives them over a foot to play with the. Caveat that the roofs with the panels need to be sub 30 degrees. Yeah, you wanna go.
I'm fine with that, but I mean, do we wanna say that,
Can you tell me what 33 is?
712.
it's
It's
less,
just-
it's less than 7,
Just slightly under
it's
7.
31 degrees.
Yeah, 30
So
point.
if you wouldn't mind, can you say those deeper than 712, is that close enough to your limit, just so that's within my tool bag? I don't know that I can make that work.
You're okay with that?
it was steeper than 712, that gives it, yeah, I mean, that's a degree, I think, that's like fussing.
So what are we?
So why don't we say something along as a request for an area variance for a total height not to exceed 3 feet and
With
We're
south,
still,
and
even, even if he makes it 712, which.
it'll pitch not to
probably
exceed 712.
Going to attempt to. We're still saving 4 degrees of efficiency on like the chart of like solar.
Right, but I mean, is it better to word it what it's not to exceed versus?
Can I make a suggestion on the wording?
Yeah.
Currently, the draft, and again, this, we could go ahead and rewrite the whole thing, but currently the draft, the only specification of what this variance is in terms of what we're dealing with is right in the first sentence where it says a variance from 30 to 35 feet. So right now, what I'm hearing, and I could be missing it because this is a substantive area, I don't really know that well. The first thing to do is to cross out 35 and I'm writing in 33, I just did it.
Yeah.
Now, having done that, again, if you want to keep the current structure and rewrite it as little as possible, we can make that 33. And then you guys have an open field when it comes to conditions. When then we say subject to the following special conditions, number 1, you can write anything you want in terms of the specifications you're talking about, the angles you're talking about, the ranges.
So then what if we said the conditions are to not exceed a total height of 33 feet?
Well, that's already there.
And okay, so then a pitch not to exceed 712.
For the roofs that.
For the roofs
contain
that
solar.
are, if the roofs that are containing
So
solar.
linguistically, we suggest this.
Well, it's west facing.
The last sentence at the bottom of page 2 where it says the board determined that the requested area variance was the minimum. What I would say is requested that the requested area variance was not the minimum variance or exceeded the minimum variance. And then as David said.
No, that's a statutory requirement. It's going to be the minimum variance.
Okay,
They have to do that. No, what I'm saying is, no, that's the one, that's what.
Whatever we decide.
Okay.
Variance.
well,
We're not changing that language.
Right, yeah.
We're gonna go special condition 1, you guys have an open
Yeah,
field to
the
decide.
way you put that Rob, works with me if that works.
Yeah, the
but
condition-
would you remove the word requested, because they requested 35.
Right, what we're saying here is it's 30, and the first thing on the first paragraph here, let's cross out 30 to 33, and so now that's taken care of, and the
Okay.
condition is that the pitch
Oh, that's
of
good.
the roof containing the solar panel is not to exceed 712, correct?
Yeah, I specifically because half of the board was okay aesthetically with it one way and we're kind of leaning the other way. That this is even a middle ground between our 2 middle grounds. And I think that that's really a healthy place to.
I have a linguistic question, because I'm not that familiar with it. What is the units of 712 or 712?
Rise and run of a roof pitch.
Right,
So for every.
is there a unit?
It doesn't have to be a unit,
It's
it
not
can be anything,
because
it's a ratio.
Everybody,
For 12 inches of travel, it goes 7 inches up.
oh,
Or-
7 over 12.
Right.
Yeah, 7 rise to 12 run.
Yeah, rise and run is
Okay.
you might wanna.
So
add in
you
here.
could say rise and run ratio,
That's.
Okay.
That's.
Okay, that's it.
so they say rise and run ratio of 7 to 12.
It's actually an angle.
I don't think
Usually
anybody.
angles in percent, I know in percentages, that's fine.
no one will,
They want really clear.
anyone who's swung a hammer knows what that's.
Yeah,
It's not to exceed 712.
not to exceed 712.
Well, I've seen it, and
Right, an 8, 12 or plus would be it.
I know this is all complicated, but we're semi.
so for the board, what I have
Yeah.
now is, on page 1, we're changing 35 to 33.
Yes.
And we're adding new language at the bottom.
Sorry, I answered, I'm sorry.
Subject to the the following special conditions, number 1. The pitch of the roof is not to exceed a rise and run of 7/12.
Yes, roof with the solar panels. Roof containing solar panels.
Which
Because otherwise-
pitch of the roof,
I'm not trying to.
No, I think it has to be south facing, because if they don't put solar panels on it, you can say they will.
Yeah, right, south
South
facing,
pitch of the south facing roof
Yeah.
with,
or, and, can we do an and or?
you can do whatever you want,
Yeah.
it's all this.
South facing roof. And or. Roofs lines containing solar.
South.
panels.
Then
Well,
Well,
like that's on the west.
Corey, if it's a special condition, I don't want an and or.
Right.
I want to translate it to something that everybody understands.
They have pitch, they have.
Yeah, they have them on.
Mike, can you-
It is containing solar panels.
So then we'd say south and west. Because until it's built, there's no.
You're right.
Okay, so it has to be south and west.
So
Solar panel,
pitch of the south and west
Not
facing
the
roofs.
west
yes.
front,
Yeah, that's the thing, not the west
the
of the
west
front.
one front. Yeah,
But Mike's gonna
Can we say something along the lines?
You can say two things, I mean, you can, there's
I'm not really
one
concerned about the
one,
ones.
just sit down in language.
Right, right?
Yeah,
Just do south, that's
Just
fine.
fix it out.
So special condition, the pitch of the south facing roof with the solar panel is not to.
Don't have that solar panel in it.
Okay, pitch of the south facing roof is not to exceed a rising run of 7/12.
Yes,
That's right, the pitch of the south facing roof is not to exceed a rising run of 7/12. That's it.
Yeah.
So if that's what you guys want, why don't you make a motion to amend the draft in front of you to change 35 to 33 on the front page and to add the language subject to this following special condition. Special condition 1, the pitch of the south facing roof is not to exceed a rise and run of 7/12.
I make a motion.
You can just see, you can
I make that motion.
second on the amendment,
second, vote,
vote on the amendment.
we're voting on the
On
amendment,
the amendment of those.
You're voting to amend the motion.
yes.
Vote unanimous? Okay, now are you guys ready to vote on the amended motion? You're voting on the variance if you do that.
I mean, I.
So you seconded it, then? I know Rob made it, okay.
You got it, Mike?
You got it.
Okay, then, if you guys ready, make the motion.
Apologize for the comment.
The motion is already on the table for the amended motion. We called the question, you can take a vote on the amended motion.
Okay, you want to do a roll call?
Go ahead.
Okay, Ian,
Votes to deny.
You vote no?
No, yeah, correct.
Rob,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
and Tony.
Alright.
The motion passes 3-1.
Mike, you have the language?
I have the money.
Cool.
And if I can type it in your Word document, Sean, I'll call you and sign it.
Yes, and
tomorrow.
I will check it and make sure everything is in order. We'll be there before.
And don't forget the 35 to 33.
Yeah, change in on the first page. Okay.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, the next decision, Sean, the applicant was unable to be here, so if you wanna move it to the end of the meeting, he's not gonna be here. It's up to you.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah,
Okay, move at the end of the meeting,
yeah,
and although that one is,
it's up to you. He's just, he
Next 25?
emailed me that he was unable to make it tonight.
We're spoken on.
You're just voting on the
You
decision.
voted to approve the
Yeah.
draft resolution, but that obviously took a little bit of time here, so it's up to you.
Right.
no, that one's, there's not.
Yeah.
Unless you have any questions.
There's not, I don't think there's anything on there, right?
Yeah.
Just gonna vote. Everyone's good on stuff, okay, we're gonna vote on that, so I motion to have 25 North Chestnut Street voted on.
Motion.
Second, vote, aye, okay, unanimous, okay, take a roll.
Ian,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
Cody.
All right, good,
Who
good,
was the second? Cody, Ian.
okay, new application, 14 Lincoln Place. Come on down.
Sean, yeah, Sean has.
I have it.
File there. Cody, can I grab the 30?
Yeah, I got them all.
Stuff?
I still don't know.
I'll take the whole packet.
I fixed them about 6 times.
Well, that's okay.
Well, if it's a seal, it looks really long.
Yep.
Right. Tell us about the project.
So my wife and I purchased 14 Lincoln Place, just this January. And we're looking to put this extension on, so we can put my daughter and her 3 suite mates. We put a new vault, into the home. And I was in the process of buying the property. I was meeting with Mike and Alex. To see what, was feasible. And they looked at the records, they looked at the lot size. And what they had led us to believe that I could do the 4 bedrooms. So that's where I'm at, right now.
Yeah, once Alex and I did the density map, we realized that the property is 305 Square feet. Yeah, 305 square feet shy of the required size. If you look at the agenda. 9680 is the required square footage for a 4-bedroom. Of the property, and the property size is 75 by 125, which is 9375. So it's 305 square feet shy of the density. For to build a 4-bedroom. 3-bedroom is possible, a 4-bedroom is just
So we're talking density, okay.
density variance, yeah. It meets all the setbacks, it meets height, it meets all the other standards, just not density.
And it's on the order of, it's on the order of 3.5% of the total required.
This is the density, that's pretty.
Right?
Oh,
There's a chart on one of the pages that.
How many parking spots is that?
It has a long driveway on the left side of the house that goes back all the way to the garage.
Yeah.
And right where your finger is, we're proposing to do permeable pavers.
Okay.
Up to towards the front of the back corner of the house, yeah, right. where your finger is now.
Okay. What's the story with the permeable surface on this, Mike? Is that gonna be an issue with any of this?
No,
That's
that's,
a big enough lot?
yeah, the lot is big enough. This drawing here has the lot coverage. The lot coverage is as proposed, 27%, and the maximum is 30%. So this smaller has the chart here, I don't know if that drawing has this, the lot coverage chart.
Yeah,
They could go in and caught someone, get a decent to it, it's fine.
yeah. So. My main problem with this one is that you have 4 bedrooms upstairs, I know you're calling it a study. But that's a bedroom, and then you have another bedroom downstairs, that's 5 bedrooms. So you're supposed to have 3, and there's 4 in the drawing. Now, I know you wrote study on it, but I know I live in this town, it's a college town.
Yeah.
That study will be filled with a student 100% of the time, and you're asking for a variance, and I'm gonna be very realistic here, like, this is a no-go for me. Because you're not asking for 1, you're asking for 2. It's just a practical thing, if you have a square room upstairs of that size, that's gonna be used for that. You have that huge bedrooms in here, if someone's gonna study and get a desk, they're gonna put it in their bedroom.
Right, and so it's not technically a bedroom because it doesn't have a closet,
Yeah,
that
but-
corner will almost definitely get it.
Yeah, it's gonna, you're gonna do that, I mean,
That's it.
that's 100% chance gonna be there, and I would be. If you were asking for 4 and you had 4 drawn, but you don't, you're asking for, you're asking, you should have 3 and you have 5.
So
Because there's another bedroom
but
downstairs.
that's on the second floor,
It is,
Yeah, I mean, this is,
so it doesn't change
and we,
density, right?
yeah, and we've traditionally said no to these every single time they've come through.
It does change density because it's by square foot.
No, it's not square foot of,
It's square foot of the
square
pie.
foot of the property size is not gonna change.
So you would have to reconfigure.
Either way, if he wants 4 bedrooms, he's gonna need a variance, no matter what size the house is, no matter what
Yeah,
size.
I mean,
It's
the first floor.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's,
Oh, that's a covered.
yeah, I mean, and
Yeah, that's where the study is about
is this a cut through right here? So this is a hallway into the kitchen?
that. Yes,
Okay,
right.
so you have another, you have 6 bedrooms.
No, that's the dining room.
Yeah, which could be made into another bedroom, like,
The call,
a college kid would turn that into a bedroom. This is now a 6-bedroom house.
the covered porch. Is under the
Under the,
study,
yes,
sorry, I didn't mean to, I'm not trying to, yeah, under the study.
I mean, the covered porch is nice, I like that, that's amazing.
I do, but it's still
yeah,
160 square foot of
here's just a thought, Sean, if it's a covered porch directly under that, if you did the covered porch, but just remove the room above and made it.
Then it's, yeah.
That, yeah, which would, which would also give you more parking.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, listen, you have a 6-bedroom house. That you're telling me is gonna be rented to college students. And you're asking for 4. And 3 is legal, you're asking for double the amount. This is a college house, that dining room is gonna be instantly made into a bedroom. You're gonna have 6 people in there, so it's a 6-bedroom house, it's not.
That's not gonna happen.
Well, right.
I'll tell you that, but.
We have to work on it, right, 'cause this is what it is, but this is in perpetuity.
Yeah,
So when you sell the house,
true.
there's 6 people living in it.
Yeah, and 2 people per room, now you're 12.
Sean,
Yeah.
just something to consider, just as you put a condition on the other one. You can put conditions at those rooms and then,
That's not worth a bucket of.
no, but this is finished. The inspection, because if it's a rental, the annual inspection will show that. And if
Yes, and having lived in college campuses and been here for 30 years, they will take the bed out of the room when the inspector comes, and when the inspector leaves, they'll put the bed right back.
Okay.
We all know what goes on here, I'm not gonna,
Okay.
this is a non-starter for me.
They said one question.
4-bedroom houses.
In terms of,
Yeah.
in terms of the plan, like the site plan, I just wanna, there's no, everything, there's no the setbacks are all.
The only variance required, it meets all other density or all other standards with the exception of density. All other standards are.
Mike, just to be clear, in addition to the density, are they also getting this, is the variance applying to the number of bedrooms? Is there a limit on the number of bedrooms here?
The variance is not for the number of bedrooms, just the density in residential districts is set by the number of bedrooms.
Okay.
It's so many,
So it's also,
Square
the
feet
variance itself
per
is
bedroom.
only for the number of square feet that they need on the property,
right,
the lot size.
Right.
correct, the density is only on the 75 by 125 lot. In order to have a 4-bedroom,
And they have enough square feet for a
Is there-
three-bedroom.
they have enough square feet for a
How many
3-bedroom.
bedrooms are in there?
Is there a formula for a 5-bedroom?
2 bedrooms,
2 upstairs, yes.
It just keeps increasing by, I'd have to
So
look
you
at
can
that.
picture it in your head, picture. It's just this upstairs,
Yeah.
Is it 2,420?
doubling it.
I don't remember.
That's what it is from.
So you're doubling the size of the house,
Yes, sir.
actually more than doubling the size of the house. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any more questions, you guys have any more questions?
No,
I have,
So if just for knowledge, if he reduces it to a 3-bedroom, he does not need a variance.
Yeah, that's totally fine,
yeah,
I'm not gonna.
but that's also one of these situations where.
I mean,
So you take a closet out of the 4th bedroom and it just.
well, the building inspector has to go by the state code, and the state code says in order to be called a bedroom, there must be a closet in there. And then, if something is being habited that's not a bedroom, that's a violation of the building code. And then the building inspector, code enforcement can cite that.
How many times have they cited that in the last year?
No idea, I have no idea.
Would be less than 5 be an accurate thing?
Most states.
I don't know, I'm just saying the
Yeah,
possibility exists, I mean.
Yeah, but it's not happening.
The board is free to do whatever they choose, from our aspect, if it's labeled as a study or a dining room, we have to take their
Well,
word.
I guess,
We can't debate whether it is or not.
my thought.
As the plans are signed and sealed, so.
We reject it as is without coming.
But we don't have to do that, it's gotta go through the process.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, if it comes to that, what's.
The nice thing about this board is we started an OMRTS.
Yeah.
And that's where you start, at absolutely not.
So, yeah, Tony, you are correct, it's 7260 for a dwelling unit containing a maximum of 3 bedrooms. Plus 2,420 square feet for each additional bedroom per dwelling. So it's, that's where the 9680 comes.
Right.
So if it was a 3 bedroom, he only needs 7260 square feet,
And
which
he
he
has.
has adequate. So if you are gonna reject it and tell him, no, you need to present this as a 3 bedroom. To the building inspector, then it is in front of the planning board currently for site plan. That would be another, that would have to get amended.
This might be out of our, what I'm thinking might be out of my scope, but. Just cold rejecting it.
No, we don't do that, we're gonna.
Yeah,
Process.
I'm just saying that if,
I'm
even
always-
if it gets rejected, I fear that the exact same thing with one less cause is gonna get built.
And that's
Yeah.
that's the problem, that's not our board, not our fault, so I'm okay with that. Okay, do you guys have any questions for the applicant? No. Alright,
So
so,
one thing you might wanna just check is if hearing what you guys have said, if he wants to continue the process to just withdraw and resubmit as a 3 bedroom to the building department and go from there. Now you can go through the whole process.
I'd rather us,
no,
if it was my opinion, I'd rather us talk about it, cause we'll. Hopefully come up with something that works as opposed to just cheating the code.
It still has to go to the planning, but they don't review the inside. Layout, so.
Yeah, which is,
those are,
yeah, I mean, that's very much just a.
That's building codes.
Right.
yeah, and the reason these come back to us all the time is because. The ability to get a mortgage is based on how many bedrooms and the value of the property is based on all bedrooms. So even though these things happen, you have to pay cash for them, and so that's how that works, otherwise you should do it. So. Anyway. Cause we've had. 5 to 10 of these. Maybe that's 10, 5, 7 of these come through where they wanted to just. The ones, we're not changing anything, we just wanna get an extra bedroom in there, and that's all for real estate development.
What's the total square footage you're adding, if this was approved, what would be the total square footage you're adding? Adding 800 square feet?
I think it's on, yeah.
How big is the?
You're talking 800 as a footprint, so 1,600 square foot.
Or 1,100, I think, is the whole footprint. So I think the original house is 1,100 square feet, we're adding 1,200 square feet.
Are you telling us of the house or of the footprint?
The house.
That whole house is 1,200 square foot?
No, it's originally 1,100 square feet, we're adding 1,200 square feet.
Right.
So we're doubling.
I think what Cohen's asking is that footprint or is that living space?
I think the footprint here is 800.
I think it's up in that upper left corner of the small place.
Yeah.
On the big plan, it's on the right.
Oh, okay.
A little complicated, but.
Well,
Oh, this is the.
Actually, it's two-story addition. That's nice, 1571 square feet.
The 2-story addition.
This is understood as the shop.
so everything from here on is new. Everything in this plan.
1570.
So they're adding 1571.
They're in 24 by 35 and
They're adding 1571 to this.
Right.
Yeah.
But that original can't be 1,100, it has to be 1,100 per floor. That's what I'm.
No, it's probably 1,100 total. Yeah, it's a tiny house, yeah. That's totally, like my house is 12,
Yeah,
yeah, that's totally,
I just wanna make sure we're looking at the right.
they're doubling plus the size of the house. So this is where the original house went.
Yeah,
This distance is 19 feet, they're going 24 feet,
but
and this distance is whatever, they're more than double.
what's 19 times
Okay, cool, I got that first, okay, all right. I don't think we have a. Okay. So, public hearing for next time?
Yeah, you're gonna move it forward, do you want to move it forward? Or do you wanna
After
reconsider?
hearing them, yeah, I think I'd reconsider and move it to your specifications and,
Yeah.
you know. Put a
Well,
lot
if
of
he's gonna
thought.
reconsider and possibly withdraw it, then there's no sense in setting the public hearing. We should just wait to hear back from him.
Okay, you can, I would recommend you. Is it postpone it? Or,
Well, you guys could just set it aside and.
Yeah.
Yeah, or,
Yeah.
you might wanna think about it.
Yeah, I
And
will,
then-
and then I'll talk to Mike tomorrow.
Yeah, and then figure it out, you don't make a decision right now.
so here's,
I also don't think that it's possible.
here's one thing though, you could set it for public hearing. I won't, because it's a month away, I won't be
This is
advertising
already
it for 2 weeks. So if he decides,
Let's adjourn it.
24
Let's adjourn it.
long, so
Okay.
it's 24 square foot.
so then you're just taking no action, you don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
He's gonna consider,
Yeah.
but if he wants to pursue it again, and then we'll.
I don't want you to stop it and then you realize later you wanna redo it, like you come up with.
Yeah, no, I want to try to.
Yeah, so I don't want to say. Yeah.
Well, that's why I was saying, you might wanna set the motion for public hearing, because otherwise he won't have a public hearing until May.
Okay, all right,
So you could set the motion tonight. Set it for public hearing,
okay,
and then if he chooses to withdraw, then that's just on him, and
Right.
I could do that, with that, is that what you want?
Sure, yeah, let's do that, this way it gives us time.
Yeah, no, you got 2 weeks before you have to.
Yeah, but this way we don't miss that month.
Yeah, you don't wanna miss a month, I'm trying to.
You gotta help once a month.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have a motion to have a public hearing.
April
for
8th.
April 8th. On
14.
14 Lincoln Place.
14 Lincoln Place. Motion,
Second.
vote. Good, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you, that's.
Okay. And
Let me grab those drawings back. You know what? Yeah, that's it, you got it in your folders, you have the other one. He's joining us by Zoom, the other applicant. Brett Smith.
Oh, no, that's actually me, I was just watching, to kind of get a gauge of when I needed to
Oh, understood,
leave the
okay.
family, I was having dinner with my kids.
Come on up and join. Sorry.
I'm a little disappointed, I thought we had a huge following here.
Sorry, one less follow now.
Yeah, that was.
I saw on the agenda, I said, I saw them walking on Broadway Street. Hey, everyone, Brent Smith, 16 Prospect Street, coming to you with my tail between my legs here. I was doing some work on my landscaping and we replaced our asphalt driveway. So we live right like down the hill, behind our house is a hill, so we get a lot of water runoff. So our yard has had a lot of water on it, and my wife got a master's in water resource management. We did a lot of research to try to figure out, okay, what are we gonna do here? So we actually got rid of our asphalt driveway and put a permeable, a pervious driveway in. You can see in some of those pictures, kind of cool, there's this grid that you put down and then you put the rocks in between it, so that grid actually prevents the rock from compacting so much so that the driveway stays pervious.
How do you file
You snow blow it. And then you pick out the stones out of your yard.
I'm gonna say,
You care for your own name.
You just pray we don't get that much snow.
Yeah, well.
And so when we did that, obviously, like we got rid of the area, like the hardscapes for my kids. I got an 8 and a 10-year-old. They like to play basketball. I like to play basketball. I also run like the YBA clinics here for the youth basketball at SUNY and volunteer basketball and soccer coach. So I wanted to put in a little sport court little pad, like 25 by 26 foot pad. I put some tiles on it that are like, more like shock absorption, and just doesn't look like a concrete pad. It's actually like, you can see from the thing, it's like green color, to try to match the grass as best I could. So I talked to my landscaper, I was like, hey, this is what we wanna do. I was like, hey, we need to go to the zoning board of appeals, or not the zoning board of appeals, like the planning board, or even do this. He's like, nah, I've been working here, Bradshaw Landscaping. He's like, I've been working in the area. He's from Gardner. He's like, I've been working for this. There's nothing here that you need to do, and to go in front of the planning board. I was like, all right, and so I got some bad advice. We did it. Got the basketball court, sport court in there, so I got a soccer net there and a basketball court, and yeah, now obviously realizing that we need a variance there because it's a, what is it?
Yeah, the section of code is on the agenda. It's an unenclosed accessory use. Like pet pools, tennis courts, obviously this is similar. It may not be constructed in the front or side yard of such lot. And such uses can be located closer than 20 feet to any lot line, and right now it's 4.5 feet off the lot line. So that's what the variance is for. It's a side yard, but it's not a side yard setback, it's a side yard for an accessory use. Not enclosed accessory use. So,
So the setback is 20
I was
feet.
curious when we didn't see here, I saw that.
well, the setback for this use, if they were building a permanent structure there, the setback is only 12.5. But because of this unenclosed accessory use, it is by the detail of the code. Can't be closer than 20 feet, and it's currently 4.5.
So if you built a structure there,
He can put a shed there if he wanted.
They can put a shed there,
See, I can do indoor basketball court.
yeah,
He wouldn't even need a permit in variance.
he would, depending on the size, he might need a building permit.
12 by 10, he doesn't, as long as he gets the setback.
Correct.
It's nice to see, because
Takes so long.
It just,
That was
and- you know, if you read the code, you can kind of understand that the sentiment of it is something like that is gonna have a lot of activity, and it's different than a building. The building's not gonna be moving and making noise, and somebody on a pool or a tennis court or a basketball court is gonna be, so.
curiosity here. This already exists. If this isn't granted, it's gotta be torn up. And a big shed. Alright. Okay. Can there be a pad for a shed?
What's that?
Can there be a pad that size for a shed?
It's gotta be under 144 square feet to not need a building.
And it still would be, I mean, you have to set it closer to the driveway. You know, the
Yeah.
side setback.
he's got enough space for storage. You know, this is the point,
Yeah.
you
I don't need a shed.
It is.
Yeah, shed.
No, I'm not, I'm just curious.
There-
The breakdown.
There are also, I didn't print them, but there are 3 sets of letters from neighbors in support of this already. And they are, or maybe I did print them.
What is your neighbor to the north? Is one of them the neighbor to the north?
Yeah, that's Leonard. He sent an email I talked to him about it. He's totally fine with it. Leonard, I was sure you're familiar with him. And he sent an email to the ZBA. I think he sent it today, actually. But I talked to him previously about it.
So there's 12 signatures here by neighbors who say they have no issues with this.
Who's directly across?
Some of them are neighbors, directly across from us. I don't know exactly what the
It's the
gentleman's
yellow
name.
house.
He's an older gentleman. But it's like a rental.
I know the new tenant going into there.
Yeah, it's like a evolving tenants.
Yeah, I know that's.
Alright, yeah.
Can we see those letters for a second?
Yeah, all right.
Because really this and that are the aesthetic.
They're in the
Yeah,
the letters are in the Google.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yes.
That's okay.
No, this is the other side of the house, they're not.
So some of the neighbors, some of the signatures I have from neighbors, others are from other coaches, because I've actually had like coaching clinics over at my house using the I think, I mean,
Oh, okay.
all volunteers.
Those may not all be neighbors then.
Most of them are neighbors, but, you know, other volunteers.
The one thing to point out, it is screened.
Yes.
There is screening put in there, so.
Yeah.
That's what basketball doesn't go in the neighbor's yard.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the soccer goal. So it's actually a
Goal
sport
too?
court, yeah, 'cause my daughter and I coach soccer too, so I can actually do like some goalie and soccer stuff there too, it's not just like school.
I think it looks really nice, having seen it be put in.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I grew up on Plains Road here in New Paltz and. That was the type of street where I could play out in the street with my buddies, like we could play out on the road. Prospect Street, people fly down that road, I get so angry when people flying down that road, I've gotten into situations on that. Street because people are flying down it, so I can't have my kids play on the street, so when I got rid of the asphalt, I was like, I need to find someplace and. You know, this is the.
Did you got right, there was a small red shed in that location,
No. It was just,
like a coop or something?
oh, there was a chicken coop, yeah, but we got rid of that,
Okay. There's
kind of regretting it now with the egg crisis.
Yeah, you got any questions? No, I'm all good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so, we're going to set a public hearing.
Yeah, and then you wanna classify it for whatever seeker, is this a type 2, David, probably, it's a side yard.
I hate the posts that after the fact, but.
I mean, let me think about it, this is, what,
You don't have to classify it tonight, you can classify it
it's
next.
a residential project, but he's not building a house, it's a, what is it, accessory use?
It's
to-
a side yard for an accessory, well, the code says accessory use, it's actually an accessory structure, but the code says
Accessory
accessory.
structure,
Yeah,
the basketball court
correct.
and the soccer goal.
I mean, I
I
could,
think the goal permanent, that's just.
No, it's just like
Yeah,
stakes and then that, yeah.
like it's, yeah, I mean, it's very well placed for not annoying anyone. It's, everyone's seen it, right? You've seen it, okay, yeah, it's very well placed for.
I mean, it's
My guess could be,
obviously, you know.
the basketball hoop is not permanent either, correct? The basketball hoop is not permanent either, is that just one of those that roll away?
No, that's in the.
That is in the ground,
Mike, is the only thing that
You know your
is
back,
going
you know
to apply,
your hoops.
is the only thing that's going to apply for here,
Oh, were you? Yeah, you know your hoops.
the variance from the setback?
yes.
That's it, he doesn't need a variance to put the structure
No,
on the front yard.
no, he just needs a variance
Well,
for the,
that's why. I
for
was
the
thinking
edge of this to be closer than 20 feet to the side.
So he's allowed to put the basketball court on the front lawn.
No, Leonard's property has a huge setback.
And it can't be closer than 20 feet
So
to
that's
any
really
lot
not.
line.
But
It's a lot, it's not no basketball court from the front lawn.
No.
So, I know it's type 2.
That, I'd be like.
Okay,
And the only person that
But
it's so
it's
It's both a pad and
Yeah.
you need another variance for the
Does the
back one
class
itself,
make
so
it
it's
wider?
permanently mounted.
Yeah, for sure.
no, it's
For
just
sure.
the variance,
Definitely.
it's all considerable on those.
It's fine.
It's like a little bit more.
Balls because it does absorb it, so.
Yeah.
But it's also like really good for,
It's all
like,
associated.
for like if a kid
So
were to
it's
fall
like
and hit
good.
their head.
It's an
It's
individual
also good
setback.
for like older guys like me, cause it's,
When you fall, you can.
well, even just like if I play basketball on concrete, man, I feel it for like a week.
Yeah.
You know, but if you play basketball on this, it's got some give to it, so it's just,
So Sean, do we need a motion to make it a classified as a type 2 action and then a motion set for public hearing?
Okay, so I make a motion to classify this as a type 2 action.
Yeah, you can have a motion,
Okay, good, vote. Aye, okay, and I make a motion to set a public hearing for
Hey, Roy,
April 8th. Motion, second, vote. Okay, we're good. Okay, that's it. So you have to talk to him about getting out, you've already done this, you're an expert, but
yeah,
Getting
I'll
out this stuff.
walk with the stuff.
and do that, send out letters and stuff. Alright, we're back on month. Alright, okay, cool. Thanks, gentlemen.
And then with that, then they'll consider the 5 factors probably that night, and then potentially May.
Okay.
Decision.
Okay.
Well, but yeah, I mean, this either it does exist or doesn't exist, right? Like. We got to use for it to take.
If you deny it, it's gonna take it down, yeah.
We'd like to table this for the next 3 years.
Can you mandate that a 3-point line be put in? Actually.
Remember David said you can add any more?
I'm gonna stipulate that he marks.
You're gonna take your wife.
We want, like, we want the new Pulse logo.
as subtle as possible. Did do a great job.
You could ask him to flood it and make it a hockey rink.
Oh, there we
go.
Total sport for the man.
There you go. Alright. Thank you.
You know you're gonna have every neighborhood kid here at the public hearing.
Oh, that is not necessary.
You can make it happen.
And.
Okay, want to introduce Adrian Cox from, I'll let him introduce himself.
Sure, and I was wondering what you were doing here. I'm in that community lab, I was in the Zoom, but it looks like I'm not in the Zoom anymore.
Yeah, something weird happened, it was,
Wait, we didn't vote to end the meeting.
your meeting hasn't ended yet, this is part of the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, because you guys are all together, still has to stay in the meeting.
Because we're.
You're doing business, even though you're learning software, you're doing business, so
Okay.
you'll vote to end the meeting when this is done.
So I'm in the waiting room now for the.
Okay, I'll let you.
Cool.
Okay.
So hopefully you guys.
That's open meetings law, I mean, David could stay or go, that's his choice, but if you guys are gonna.
Want me to go? I love having you talk.
He probably wants to learn the software too.
Are you paid hourly or is it?
Yeah, he's gonna access the software, so he's.
Not the first time David's been paid to hear me talk. So I assume you give them some background on the platform and.
Very, very little.
Okay, so the village has adopted our software platform for receiving applications for the planning board, for the building department, and for the zoning board. So this way applicants are gonna be able to complete their applications, fill out their forms online. There's a lot of advantages to this. I'll give you a quick kind of overview of what the platform involves here.
Yeah, share screen.
Yep, I should. All right, great. So let me just minimize that. So this is not visible to the public right now. You can see all these projects have a little icon next to them that has an eye across through it. So that is not visible yet, but basically this is the basic platform here. So applicants can create their applications using this portal essentially now, and the applications themselves have the zoning code embedded in the application. It walks them through for each type of variance, all the different questions that they have to answer. And in your case, for the planning board, there's a much more involved application process for all the various types of applications. And they all start with the zoning determination on the building department side. For you guys, you'll be reviewing applications using this platform. So all of the applications, all the projects are here. So if I was to click on one of these, part of our scope is to import all of the applications that are currently under review. So we've done that with, some of the applications that you're currently looking at here. So you can see that the basics of the application are on this dashboard here. If this one has two different application types, there's an area variance and there's an appeal. And I think this is something that Mike added today, the appeal.
Yeah, it used to say interpretation, it was
Yep.
actually, this is the appeal, that's, remember when they started, they were appealing the setback, and then you told them, forget it, it's not, so. They submitted an application, withdrew it, so the application is in there.
So this is like one single source of all of the information about a project. So when you click on the, first you have your dashboard, then you actually have the application types. So if I click on the area variance, there's an overview here. We can see that it's pending. We can see the date that it was submitted. And then we go into the application. We can actually see the application details here. So we have the basic application details. We have the property identification. This automatically pulls in all the zoning details. So when they put in their address, it will pull in the zoning code and everything else. What the parcel is zoned for and any other information that's in the shape file for the map. And then getting into the actual variance itself, so we have all the information that we want the applicant to see for that variance. We have their files are all here. You can view the files right from the software. Some of these files are kind of large. You guys know how these files go. So they might take a second to load, but here you can see the whole file here. You actually can mark these up. So there's a markup tool here. So you can, you could add say, oh, I want, to add this and then, yeah, sure, you can do that. I would recommend it. And then you can actually annotate those markups here, and then you can use that to navigate through the file itself, but I'm gonna go ahead and.
Now, if I annotate something, does everyone see that annotation, or is it just in me when I'm?
Everyone would see it.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so this is a public thing. There's really no, there's not personal notes here. Yeah, so this is like, everything here is foilable. You can think of this as like the record, the public record. And then, yes,
You couldn't put notes in, because you guys, it'd be the same as if you guys had phone calls with each other during a meeting. I mean, in between meetings, so like anything you would put up here, any notes or anything, everybody sees it. All the board members, the applicants.
So if I put something up, can Cody erase it?
So I would recommend not using. Yeah, if you put something, any of you that have the permissions, which Mike can control who has permission to do what, if you have a permission to edit a project, someone else can undo that edit, but everything ends up being covered.
I missed the start, is there a tab for ZBA on it?
So this is all
now
for the ZBA.
Oh, so when I log on to that page,
You're not seeing it yet because it's not live. Once, because you haven't created your usernames are all created, but you haven't.
I just sent you guys all the emails
Yeah.
from the system.
So once you create it, Rob, and that page is live, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
I think as soon as you're logged in, you'll be able to see it, because it's hidden from the public right now. But like Abe can see it, I can see it.
Yeah.
We didn't wanna put it out till you guys had a chance to see it.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so all of the sections of the application are here on the left. And then there's the whole review process has a number of sections involved as well. A lot of these are, things for Mike and Alex to track the progress of an application.
And Nicole,
yeah.
the finance end of it as well.
And I'm gonna, I just wanted to give you guys kind of a quick lay of the land here and introduce myself. The way that, Mike is gonna want to use this and the different tools, there's a number of workflow tools here. There's ways you can make requests to applicants. All of that can happen from within here, but I'm kind of leaving that in Mike's court in terms of what way he wants to use it. But this way, when an applicant adds information to the portal, you guys all will get emails, notifications for that. So all the most recent versions of documents will be here. It really cuts down on the administrative burden in the building department side.
I'm not emailing you, hey, there's a new ad, there's a new ad, there's a new ad. As soon as there's a change to the application, depending on how you set your preferences, you can set your preferences so you get an email immediately.
Yeah.
You can set it so you get one a day.
So if you go.
And any changes that have happened, you'll get an email that says, hey, on this application, these changes were made, and you can go and look. And Sean, like with the annotation thing, where I think it'd be really helpful is if in a board meeting, instead of you all hovering over plans, one of you at a computer could make some notes.
Like in the moment.
Everybody can see it.
Right,
I can
yeah.
project it here. All of you can see
Now-
what's happening.
If I put in a note, so I say hey, what's this distance from here to here, you can put it in your plans, right?
Yeah.
Which is something we say every freaking set of plans.
Right.
You can make that as an official request.
So I circle it, I say I need this measurement.
Well, yeah.
When they put in, so if they, can they then adjust their plans, or do they have to resubmit another set of plans?
They can adjust their, I mean, they would need to add a new file. So if they fix it on their file, they will then add that new
And then
file.
what happens to those files? That'll-
It's stored in the
It's stored in the history.
But it would be.
It'll be under
catalog
It'll be
way.
versioned, yeah, exactly.
Alright, so we could go in and say, okay, we need this measurement, this measurement, this measurement.
But you're saying that we wouldn't necessarily mark up to that there's a request.
Yeah, you
With
would
the request, you can do, there's a request section where any board member or the chair can say, I'm requesting this information.
Oh, yes, you
And
can
it
make a
goes back
request.
to the applicant, and the applicant then goes, okay, and makes those.
What's the distance, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can do that. You
On
can-
on page 7A2.
Exactly.
You know, green circle.
And you
what's the
can, you
distance?
can literally, you can choose which element, so like, let's say it's on the site plan, you can choose that I want it to be on the site plan. You know, or whatever element you're requesting.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we're available. for-
Nothing ever goes away, it just, nothing's ever
Yeah, there's
deleted,
a full
it just sort of gets, like Toby said, it just becomes layers. And what I'm trying to do is, every time there's an addition, I'm trying to make, there's a date that it's uploaded. And so you can always look for the most recent
Yeah,
uploaded date.
so when you have the punch of all of those things where it had like, off to the side there, where it's like request, condition, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Those will open to the most recent.
Yeah, so these are kind of your review tools, so that's just gonna have all of them, like all the conditions will be
The
here.
conditions are more a decision, like you did tonight. The
Yeah.
Oh,
requests-
so those would go in.
So you can add
Those
conditions
would go in
here.
afterwards, so they stay with the file, so when cause Alex is also working with this for future. So if there were conditions on a decision, they would get entered in that condition section.
But that would only be typed in there after we vote on.
No, you could add that in here at any
You could have
point.
it in there.
And it's kind of like it's like a place to just keep track of these
Yeah.
conditions as you go, nothing really matters until you vote on.
You could come up with one, 1 month into the review and then not make a decision for 5 more months. That condition that you all kind of agreed to can be memorialized, didn't it?
But, yeah, so that can't really be on an individual basis though, because to put a condition in, you almost need to discuss.
Yeah,
Like if I would have typed in, below 712.
Yeah, you
No,
guys
we-
you wouldn't do that.
Right.
Yeah, I would not recommend to have you guys adding any conditions on your own and doing things like that. This is, for you, it's about consuming the information.
Right. The conditions was more put in there for,
Well, remember, setting aside the conditions, and maybe this is a little more of a planning board thing, but certainly the CBA. What if we're looking at the application, and maybe they're coming to the first meeting, and Sean's got all kinds of questions. He says, is this thing in the right place? What about the trees? And he's essentially writing notes to himself and maybe communicating with other folks.
Yeah.
Does that happen on here? And if so,
No, that would that would not happen on here. Yeah, so things still are happening in the meeting. This is a tool for reviewing that information. You're not now, instead of talking about it, you're not now doing it online instead. That's not happening. The meeting is what matters. You're consuming the information, the things that happen in the meeting, the votes that happen in the meeting, the discussions you have with the applicant.
it's
That's.
essentially one way.
This replaces our use.
So
This
the idea
replaces
is,
your, yeah.
right, and so if I'm understanding correctly, this would be after we have a meeting, Mike is going to be making notes into this, so that
Right.
next time we go around.
Right.
I don't have to remember or
Right,
find the
exactly.
notes that I wrote by hand.
what this replaces is the Google Drive, you'll notice we had the private section, the public section.
But
The difference being was the applicant's personal information, email addresses, phone numbers.
But one of the first things they presented was the ability to take your Sharpie and to circle something and say,
Yeah,
I'm
so-
sorry about this hill or something like that.
Yeah. Yes, so you could, it's really up to Mike, if it's not something that this, like. If you want people doing that, I could see it getting a little bit
Yeah,
convoluted.
I think we
With
use
marking,
the
the applicant's gonna get an email, like,
Yeah.
you mark something up at home. applicant's gonna get an email, you mark something up, applicant's gonna get an email.
But that's a good thing, because then if I circle something and say, what's the measurement, he's gonna fix it.
Potentially, yeah, I mean, you're gonna put it in the file.
If point, you'll make the point that the administrator and the.
Yeah, it's, that's, yeah, how my, I guess I don't wanna open up a can of worms by. I'm gonna leave it up to Mike, how you guys use the platform, I was just showing you guys that picture, yeah.
Because you go either way, I mean, on one hand, it's nice to be able to add stuff to the file that the board has, but especially if it's gonna be subject to the, you know, the public and
Yeah.
it's gonna confuse things, I was just responding to your original point that you can start marking this up.
Well, I don't think it might be, questions might be answered in, sometimes it might be answered in.
Yeah.
The words.
I think it'd be nice too, to just be able to circle something and be like, because when you're talking to the builder, sometimes it's like, no one knows what corner you're talking about.
Right, you can have it up here and all be looking at
It'd
it.
be like, north is here, but big.
Oh, you could have those pitches and stuff like that.
I mean, you saw it when I came in here, I was like trying to find, because I couldn't.
Yeah.
Right, so here you can kind of be prepared ahead of time and say like, okay, I have this document, yeah, you can, I mean.
And I have
You
those.
guys.
I think the difference like between the zoning board and the planning board too is they're dealing more with dimensions and numerical and because they're giving permission to vary the law. Whereas the planning board is a review board, they're just making sure it meets the code, so it's.
Oh, I thought you were saying.
Yeah.
I thought-
No, so
That's
this,
it, yeah,
so this is a different type, you know, these guys are much more numerically oriented because the
Here?
code is numerical.
Yeah, so if you guys have any, if there's any questions that you guys have, you can reach out to us, I'll send a follow-up email, just so you have our contact information, Mike will let you know when it's all live.
Okay.
And,
I mean, if you guys think if you wanna, you just sent them all an email, right?
yep, I sent them the system generated email.
So what, today's Tuesday, what I'd like to do is let you guys, you know, log in, play around with it a little bit, and because we have time until our next meeting. Maybe at some point next week, we'll go live, that gives you guys some, you'll be able to look at it, look at the existing applications. I'm still going through and like the 147, 149, I'm still checking that all the files got uploaded and there's still tweaks going on.
So does this open all of the, you know, when you open that, it opened this big file.
Yeah,
Does that open it internally and I don't have to download it anymore?
yeah, it's opening it in the browser.
Well, that's nice.
It's on a browser. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you, and
never
once you
should be
log
part
in,
I just bought this for like 130.
It's a matter of principle.
Yeah. Yeah, then it'll work on our Chromebook, it's fine.
Chromebooks are great.
Yeah. Cool. All right, yeah, if you have any questions, let me know or let Mike know.
yeah, if you run into any questions, if you see something that you
I have
think
any
is
questions.
awkward or.
What's it saying?
Oh, no, fine.
Okay.
So when I log in now, under projects, there's nothing listed.
Yeah.
Under ZBA, is that?
So you, all of them are still, the projects are still hidden, this is what we talked about earlier.
Oh,
today, Mike.
So,
if you-
once he's logged in as an.
Do you want them to have that? Do you want them to have that permission level? We didn't do that for the planning board, but I.
But wait a minute, let me be, members can't see it?
I
Well,
can't say,
then,
like
right now,
we're
we're
using
using-
projects.
No,
or-
hang on, I want to hear what.
So we can give them the ability to manage all projects. I can do that right now.
Manage or see or
Just
view?
gonna let them manage it. So so otherwise they can't, that's the way our permission.
So what if the planning board have?
Well, there aren't hidden projects in the planning.
No, and it's only because they're hidden,
It's only because the projects are hidden right now.
but there's no way to hide them from the public and show them to members.
Well, right now, the whole thing is hidden from the public.
I
Understood,
think I.
So-
but if you,
Operator error.
why don't we talk about fine, cause I'm confused now, so.
So basically, the whole zoning board
Right.
site is hidden from the public.
Right.
I've just given these guys access to it. The projects themselves are individually hidden. We can either reveal those
But
projects,
so if you reveal the projects to the members, they're also, they.
then the project team is gonna, the people that you've added.
That's okay,
Okay.
does the public see it?
The public will, so the public right now, like if I was to go to the zoning board side,
No.
the public sees.
Yeah, I had to type it in, but continue to.
Okay.
So,
So, yeah, so go ahead and give them.
and if you look at the available entities, they're not gonna see anything.
Okay,
So
as
give
long,
them that
as
ability.
long as it's still hidden to the public, go ahead and give it to them.
Yeah,
That's
I
fine.
Alright, so I'm gonna add them,
Because I had.
I'm gonna add them right now.
Back out.
And in terms of projects available to the public, is it all or nothing? I mean, is there a way to set it up so that, some of the documents, like the basic application documents are available to the public, but the board can have its own, private documents, individual members?
Yeah, so there's 3 permission levels for the documents themselves, they can be hidden from. They can be available for everyone, they can be available just for the board, the staff and the applicant, or
David,
they
is that
can be
legal under
just.
open meetings?
It's not illegal, it's necessary.
So now we just.
Right, so now-
It's not, it is illegal under open meetings law.
Well,
Now I
I suppose I read it.
I'm giving you guys. I have it. Yeah.
Hang on, guys.
Suppose I write a legal memo to the board.
Oh, we can hide individual documents.
Well,
Yeah.
then let's talk about, well,
Yeah.
I'm talking about there are certain, in other words, there are certain documents in the file. that are
Absolutely.
Available to everybody. and
No,
certain
you're
documents involved that are not available to the public.
Yes, and the answer is yes, David.
Okay.
It's just like there's certain elements that are hidden to the public, like their addresses, their email addresses, their phone number.
Try that again.
But I mean,
If Sean's looking at a file and he writes a note to somebody and says, to the group and says, why do you think if we consider this?
okay,
That's not discoverable. That's not foilable.
okay, but is it, well, let's talk off mine, because I'm wondering if that's okay, because if he's talking to the whole board, isn't that conducting a meeting?
No,
Okay,
it's not, because it's not communication in real time. It's just a note.
You can also.
You can send an email, what you can't do is you can't have a conversation.
okay.
It's supposed to, says, I really don't like this. What do you guys think? We're supposed to go to 5 minutes.
I'm sure I've educated.
That's it's not like planning board, you should do it, it's not a violation.
Okay.
It's not foilable, because it's not a final step. That's what we also knows.
Yes, the I was always thought that should happen in offline, but,
What can't happen offline is a meeting, so you can't have an email conversation,
okay.
because if it's not in real time, and you can communicate. You can communicate.
And then six, that's a 5.
We do it all the time, we send emails to each other.
6.
Yeah, but not replies back usually, so.
Well, you can send a reply back.
So.
I mean, obviously, it's gonna be a thing.
Well, yeah, you can tell that.
Yeah, so that,
So yeah, just go
I mean,
to.
just
That's
think on that.
that's okay. I don't have guidance, I'm just going by what I was always listening to, so,
You can have communications that are not meetings and people are communicating, and my communications are once you go your phone number. And the communication, the
Right now,
other, the foil.
it's kind of
The
intentional.
exceptions, you know how it reads, it says something like, interagency communications that are not final tabulations of data or statements of, that sort of thing.
Right.
And so, if Sean says, let's not have 5 units.
Go back and get to another email.
I don't think so. But I'm wrong, I'm kind of thinking.
yeah, I'm just thinking if it becomes if he says that and somebody says, well, what about 7, and then you get back and
That's
forth.
different, and at some point, maybe you have to.
Yeah, okay,
That's the same thing.
fair enough.
But even there, just because.
That's the
As long as it's not in real time, and people. At some point, in something like that, it's happening for build needs community and some opinions. But like it says, I make sure the user, schools, send them just update. That's not discovered by.
If I hit this link, it's over.
No. Yeah, I don't know why.
Executive privilege.
Is.
And David, I'll change the wording and I'll email it to you tomorrow.
That's not the email, that's. I did
That's
that.
fine, you agree.
For tonight,
Well, no, that is-
Meeting, if you want.
That's why.
I'll get it right.
At 2 hours tonight.
You try your web browser? And just.
Oh,
Yeah, like.
well, but it's just a link.
Yeah, can you, is there a way you can like open the link in your web browser? Open it browser. Yeah, that should.
I copied what you said.
That'll work.
I mean, right, but again, is that the email address that Mike gave us?
Yeah, it's not the email. Like the one I typed in, right? Kind of like typed in the exact same email address. but at least now I can.
So do you want
Yeah.
to have somebody put you in the meeting, we'll just go ahead and.
Yeah.
No worries. A motion to end the meeting?
Second.
Motion. Second and vote, aye, all in favor in the meeting.